on session. The Honorable Judge Schooley presiding. Clients may be seated.
All right, on the record in 416-084, appearances, please.
Dean Barney, bar number 6563 for Beverly Moss.
Thank you, Mr. Barney.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Gus Flangus and Kirk Walker for the defendant, James Schooley.
Thank you, Mr. Flangus. All right. We're here today on the evidentiary hearing with regard to the custodial request of plaintiff. Are we ready to go forward?
We are.
Yes, Your Honor, we're prepared.
All right. Do we want opening arguments, or do we want to get straight into testimony?
I don't know, Your Honor. I think that we're here off a motion. I don't think there's any necessity. I think we'll probably go straight to testimony if counsel's okay with that.
All right. Call your first witness.
Remain standing for the oath.
Okay. Please raise your right hand. You do solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
You may be seated.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Want to say your name?
Beverly Mobbs.
And what is your relationship to the minor child in this case?
I'm a grandmother.
And what's her name?
Amanda.
And where's the mom has passed on?
Yes.
Can you explain a little bit the circumstances of that?
A week before Thanksgiving of '07, my daughter had a brain embolism, and she went into a coma, and then she passed away. May 8th of '08.
Okay. And so she was in a coma for 3 or 4 months?
Yes.
And during that time, did you have actual custody of Amanda? Not legal custody, but you actually had possession of her?
Yes, I did.
And prior to that, how long have you been living with Amanda?
I had returned from Maine in the spring, about March of '07, and I resided in my daughter's home.
Okay. And from March of '07 until the time that Jennifer went into a coma, did you ever meet the defendant in this case, James?
No, I didn't.
Did you ever did you live with Amanda in the same house?
Yes, I did.
With Jennifer, too?
Yes.
Did you ever see the defendant come in and come to the house for a visitation?
No.
And how long until you met? What time did you meet James Schooley eventually?
It was after I had started guardianship of her, and the court managed to locate him to let him know what had happened.
Was that
I'm not.
approximately December of '08?
Yes, it was November, I believe, of '08.
I just want to back up just a little bit now. When Amanda was born, did you live in Las Vegas?
Yes, I did.
And throughout the first few years of her life, did you participate in raising Amanda?
Yes, I did.
In what way did you participate?
I provided daycare for her, for my daughter,
And how often was that?
5 days a week.
Until what? And that was until she was 4 years old. How old was she?
I left for Maine she was 4, and I left for Maine in April of '05, so she was 4 years.
Okay. And why did you leave to go to Maine?
Well, we had went back to Maine, excuse me, we had some possessions in storage up there, and we wanted to get them out. And, because while I was there, that's when I discovered I had cancer.
Okay. So you went through some cancer treatments in Maine?
Yes, I did.
And then you returned, well, I know you already testified, but you returned in March of '07.
Yes.
Okay. And did your daughter Jennifer, did she work a lot during that period of time?
Yeah, she worked.
And you didn't live in her house prior to going to Maine, did you?
No.
but you were at her house a lot.
Yes, 5 days a week.
Were you there when Amanda was born?
At the hospital, yes.
Did you see Mr. Schooley there?
No.
Did there come a time when you actually called the police in regards to an event that occurred?
Yes.
When was that, approximately?
My daughter was pregnant at the time.
And why did you call the police?
I'm going to object to the relevance, Your Honor. She's talking about calling the police before the child's even born.
I didn't hear the date, so
That's why she was pregnant, yeah.
She was,
while she was pregnant, is that what she said? I'm sorry.
she
I
was,
didn't hear
she
you.
was pregnant at the time.
So what's the relevance of the calling the police prior
Kind
to
of
the
a little
birth?
bit of a foundation of other things that are going to occur down the road, too.
All right, I'll give you.
I'm going to-
I don't even know where.
I'll give you a little latitude, but I don't want to get too far into this.
You called the police,
Yes.
and what was the reason?
And my daughter had called me, told me that Mr.
I'm going to
Schooley.
object now, Your Honor, based on hearsay.
Without,
sorry.
without
All right.
saying what happened, why did you call? Without saying anything that was told to you over the phone?
Her reason for calling, Your Honor, is based on hearsay. I mean, even the reason.
Well, and she hasn't testified. I anticipate that's true, but she hasn't got that far in her testimony. So let's get the foundation laid, and then I can make a determination where we're going from there.
Okay. There came a time you called the police. Why did something alert you to the fact that you needed to call the police without saying,
Yes.
and did you call the police?
Yes.
And what did you tell the police when you called?
Objection, relevancy, Your Honor.
Well, I think this is the little latitude that I'm giving the plaintiff to see where we are with this. I'm not quite sure. Something that happened, 12 years ago is going to play too much into my decision today.
No, I'm going to move on for that. I think there's some relevance. But, so, in 2008, Mr. Schooley began visitations with Amanda.
He attended her 9th birthday party in December, and his visitations had started in January.
Now, during the time...
I asked for what year, Your Honor?
Oh, pardon me. It was, well, see, was it not? Now I'm confused. I'm sorry.
In
She passed away in 2008, so it was January of 2009 when he started visitations.
Okay, now you, and how long has the visitations occurred?
Every other week, other weekend.
That's been a regular happenstance?
Yes.
Okay. In the period of time that you got back from Maine until your daughter went into coma and eventually passed on, was the house that you lived in the same house that Amanda's lived in for some time?
Yes.
And is it the same phone number for most of the time?
Yes.
Eventually, Mr. Schooley called you and arranged to come over. Is that correct?
Yes.
Are you aware how he got that phone number to call you?
No.
It was the same phone number since. Do you know what year that phone number was at that house?
I think it was 2005.
When you were living in the house from 2005, is it 2005?
Mischaracterizes her previous testimony.
When you got back from Maine and lived in the house, did you ever receive any cards, or did Amanda ever receive any cards, Christmas cards, or presents, or through the mail from Mr. Schooley?
I'm going to object, no foundation.
I'm going to sustain it. It's the way that you asked the
Okay.
question.
From the time you got back from Maine, you lived with your daughter.
Yes.
Did you ever see any communication from the defendant during that time?
No.
Any phone calls?
No.
Any mail?
No.
A complete dark period where you didn't hear
There was
him or see
nothing.
from him. So when the
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the answer to the last question.
I'm sorry. There was nothing from him.
guardianship case, eventually you commenced a guardianship case.
Yes.
At that point, did you know that there was even a determination that Amanda had a father?
Pardon?
Did you know that Amanda had a legal father, like on the birth certificate named?
There was no father listed on the birth certificate.
Objection to the relevance, Your Honor. I mean, if is he
I
going to
can
make a
move on
claim
from
that my
that.
client's not the parent now? I mean, that's a little bit late in the game to be doing so.
Well, that would be my question if we end up going that direction. I was unaware that he wasn't on the birth certificate, so is that the case?
No, that is the case, but
Okay. Is there are we challenging paternity?
Not at this time. I'm not going to. I mean, there's some other court records where they've started the child support part of it. I think.
I've reviewed the child support case. I didn't see a finding of paternity in the child support case. Give me 1 second. I'll see if that's true or not true. If we have a finding of paternity, then paternity is not an issue that we're going to deal with today. Mr. Flangus, are you aware as to?
I know there was a paternity test completed, Your Honor. It showed him that he was the father. But I mean, this is not been raised before. That
No, and it's not appropriate to be raised currently if we've already got a judgment for paternity on file. It looks
Let
like
me qualify
we
my
do.
statement, Your Honor. I don't know if there was a judgment of paternity. I just know a paternity test was performed.
Give me a second here. We can put this to bed. All right. For the record, the paternity test was done by LabCorp, dated April 11, 2002, finding the defendant to be the natural father of Amanda. So, that issue's resolved.
Thank you, Your Honor.
When you started the guardianship case, I think you testified, but let me just make sure. When you started the guardianship case, you didn't know where Mr. Schooley lived,
No, I didn't.
or really that he existed.
No.
I'm going to object to that, Your Honor. Also
I'll move on.
leading.
It's not that. So, through the guardianship proceeding, you found out that there was child support coming to an account that your daughter had.
Yes.
Your Honor, I know we're kind of lax with a little bit of the evidentiary rules here, but I mean, this has been a leading testimony all through here, and I've been kind of sitting here not trying to say anything, but it's getting to the point now where counsel's testifying instead of the witness.
Just
Okay. And so, eventually, to the guardianship court, what did you find out through the guardianship court?
The only thing I found out was when Mr. Schooley got in touch with me and said that he had received a letter from them.
And then through the guardianship, was there a stipulation regarding visitation eventually? If you know.
I'm not sure.
Eventually, was there an agreement as to visitation?
Yes,
And that was...
every other weekend.
I want to go back to Amanda's life during the time of, during the time that the mom was in the coma and then she passed on. Can you explain where does Amanda go to school?
She goes to Mendoza Elementary School.
Okay. And is she getting good grades there?
Yes, she is.
I have plaintiff's exhibit 1 is a report card. Did you get the report card? Do you have a?
Oh, mhm.
I don't think so. We have no objection to the report card coming in, Your Honor. She's doing well in school.
Okay.
We'll stipulate to that.
Exhibit 1 will come in.
Okay. Now, just for proof that you are Jennifer's mom.
We'll stipulate to that, Your Honor.
Okay, so stipulated.
And will you stipulate to number 3 too? It's photos
I don't
of
have your exhibit, so.
So Exhibit 2 was what you were agreeing to, Mr. Flangus?
Exhibit 2, that we were stipulating to the fact that she's Jennifer's mother. I didn't stipulate to the exhibit,
Okay,
but
just want to make sure we're all on the same page.
as long as you stipulate to that. Has Amanda been student of the month several times over the last?
Yes, she has. Last year she was student of the month 3 times.
And if you'll turn to Exhibit 3, is that a picture of Amanda?
Yes, it is.
And what is she holding?
It's a certificate.
I'd ask that this come in as an exhibit.
No objection to it coming in, Your Honor.
Exhibit 3 will be admitted.
So explain to me just Amanda's situation. She goes to school, she has friends,
Yes.
and who are her friends?
Well, because her best friend is Jordan. She's known her since kindergarten. She also has Skylar, and there's Emma, there's Kayla, and there's Anna, and Deanne.
Does she spend a lot of time with her best friend?
Yes, she does.
And does her best friend have a family? Can you explain who her family is?
Jordan, well, that's her best friend, and her grandmother is Vicky. She's like an aunt to Amanda because, they've known each other for years.
Okay. And is it an everyday occurrence they spend together? Is it almost every day?
No, Amanda only goes over there now on Fridays. That way she can spend a little time playing with Jordan after school.
It's only Fridays?
Yes, it's only Fridays.
And explain the house and the, what is Amanda's favorite thing?
Her favorite thing is animals. She loves animals.
And does she have pets that live in the house?
Yes, she does.
And how many pets does she have?
Well, with my 2 cats, we have a total of 4 cats. She has 2 that are her own.
Okay, and how did she get those 2 cats?
They belong to her mother.
Does Amanda refer to you in a certain way?
Sometimes Grandma, sometimes she refers to me as Mama.
When did that start?
Oh, gee, that's been quite a while. Year.
And during the time that you went through this experience where she lost her mom, that's got to be one of the worst experiences I can think of. What do you think you had a bonding with her? Or?
Oh, definitely. It was a hard time for both of us.
I just want you to explain that time to the
Well, right after my daughter passed away, Amanda would she would come to me and say, "Grandma, you're not ever going to leave me, are you?" And I told her no, I never would. That went on for about 3, 4, 5 months. And finally, she just now, even today, 20, 30 times a day, she comes to me and she says, "Grandma, I love you." And I'll always tell her I love her too.
And who else lives in the house with you?
My husband.
Is she close with grandfather?
Yeah, Grandpa.
And you've had no objection with Mr. Schooley becoming involved in Amanda's life, have you?
No, I haven't.
And what is why you're having a hard time with, to some degree, with what's going on here? Why are you having such a hard time?
Because I love Amanda.
I'm sorry?
I love Amanda. And I know that she wants to be with me. She has said it to everybody.
I object to the hearsay. Move to strike.
But she appears to be a happy girl when she lives with you.
Yeah, she is. She's always singing around the house or something. Yeah, she's very happy and well adjusted now.
And is she involved in what's called GATE?
Yeah, the GATE program.
Do you know much about the GATE program?
It's for gifted children.
And she's involved in that this year. I know last year she was.
Yes,
And she was involved in it last year.
yes.
And Just explain, why do you want to keep custody of Amanda?
Because it's what she wants.
Objection, hearsay.
I don't know that it's specifically hearsay. She didn't testify that. I don't know if she's stating an opinion or a statement of fact, so I want to explore that.
What's your basis for believing that she wants to be with you?
Because she's told me.
Move to strike, Your Honor.
So what?
From the first, I want to just briefly go back to the first 4 years of her life, and I won't spend much time here, but during that time, did you ever see Mr. Schooley around the child?
No.
And
I'm going to have to object on the foundation, Your Honor.
Lay a little more foundation.
During the first 4 years of Amanda's life, you were involved in babysitting her?
Yes.
And what else were you involved in during that time?
Just in her, taking care of her.
And why, was there a reason why you were involved in her life? Besides?
Well, she's my granddaughter. I love her. And my daughter couldn't afford daycare.
Were you aware whether Amanda had a father who was visiting her during this period of time?
No, there wasn't.
And when you left to go to Maine, you were you close to Amanda during that time?
Yes.
Did you continue to call her while you were in Maine?
Oh, yes, every week.
And has there ever been a time frame where you didn't talk to Amanda over the phone for more than a week?
No.
Do you feel like Amanda's almost like a daughter to you
Yes, I do.
under the circumstances? Explain the last 2 years as far as how hard it's been to go through the last 2 years.
Well, it's been hard without her mother there, of course. And, of course, with all this court stuff, this has been very difficult. Never thought I'd get involved in anything like this.
And you haven't withheld Amanda from seeing her father any time since the...
No.
Yeah, have you... Now, Amanda has a sister.
Yes.
Now, what's the sister's name?
Ashley?
And has Ashley been involved in Amanda's life?
Yes, she has.
And in what role? And what have you observed in that relationship?
It's her big sister.
And she's currently living...
She's in California right now with her husband and her baby, my great-granddaughter.
Does she plan on visiting a lot, if you know?
Yes, they are planning on coming out.
Do you have concerns that if Amanda moves out of the city of Las Vegas, that it'll be difficult to keep the relationship together?
Objection.
Do you
That may require speculation.
Does require speculation.
Do you have any concerns about Amanda moving outside of Las Vegas?
Yes, I do.
And what are those concerns?
If she moves outside of Las Vegas, it would be a little difficult for me to keep up my visitations as I don't own a vehicle.
And how long has it been since you've owned a vehicle?
I haven't owned a car for about 10 years.
You use public transportation to get around?
No, I don't.
How do you get around?
I usually call a cab or I may book a rental car. Depends on what the situation is.
Do you have anything else you want to tell the judge about this case?
I'm going to object, Your Honor. That's not a specific question.
It's not.
You're seeking custody of Amanda over her natural father? Is that
Yes.
And why do you think you deserve that? Or why do you think that's the best thing for Amanda?
Because he's used to me, because I've had her all these years. We're very close together. We've bonded. And I don't believe that her and her father have bonded at all.
Objection, there's no foundation for that. Move to strike that last answer.
I guess that's all I have.
Cross?
Your Honor, I'd like to reserve my cross-examination for my case in chief.
All right, ma'am, you can step down.
Called Vicky, what's Vicky's last name?
Remain standing to the left, straight ahead, and then to your right.
Please remain standing and raise your right hand. You solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
So help me God.
Go ahead and state your name again.
Vicki McFarland.
And how do you know?
Can you spell your last name for me? I'm sorry.
Pardon me?
Spell your last name.
McFarland.
And where do you reside?
1420 Amapola Drive.
Is that close to the address if you that Amanda knows?
Yes.
And how do you know Amanda Mobbs?
From kindergarten, I met her mother. She would come pick up Amanda, and I'd come pick up my granddaughter I'm raising. They were best friends, and that's how me and Jennifer got to talking.
Are you close with Amanda and her grandma?
Oh, very much.
Is it like another family or no?
Yes.
And how often is Amanda over
In my house.
at your house?
She comes over on Mondays. It's been Monday, Thursday, and Fridays. On Tuesday and Wednesday, we take her home because we have a car. And the other 3 days I mentioned, as soon as my husband gets home at 4:30, we take her home. But she hasn't been coming totally those many days here lately. She's had a couple other little friends she's been walking home with.
Okay. And have you observed Amanda with the grandma?
Yes.
And what have you observed, if anything?
They get on great. I mean, she hugs her and loves her, and they play games together and bake and just do what grandmas do.
Does Amanda call Miss Miles by mom or grandma or
Grandma?
grandma? And is there anything else you observe? Do you know if Amanda's has good grades at school?
Yeah, she's a lot smarter than my granddaughter. She helps my granddaughter.
You observe Amanda playing with your daughter often?
Oh, absolutely.
And what do you observe during that playtime?
They do their homework together, and then they go out and they might play ball or play with the dogs, and they play their ESIs, their videos. They just play like kids play.
And do you observe anything that would cause you concern?
No, not at all.
And you've spent time with Miss Mobbs too, Miss.
Yes.
And have you observed her as far as disciplining or talking to Amanda?
I've observed her talking to her, never disciplining her.
And in what fashion how does she talk to her?
Just like I'm talking to you.
Friendly.
Yeah, friendly.
What is? I ask this, and it may sound funny, but what does love mean to you?
Does love mean to me?
Objection, relevance, Your Honor.
Where are we going?
I'll stipulate the grandmother loves Amanda. There's no question about it.
Okay. Do you have anything else to say? Or?
Just that Amanda, she seems to be pretty stable. She's very happy. She seems to take things very well. She does good in school.
Does she talk about her pets a lot?
Yeah, she loves animals. She loves animals. She watches the Animal Channel a lot of times when she comes to my house, and she just is a roundabout good kid. She's a very good kid. I've never had to discipline her or raise my voice, anything.
Okay. That's all I have for this one.
And I'd like to reserve my cross for case in chief. And if the witness would please remain outside and not take off, I'd appreciate it.
All right.
Is there anything where we can't just let her cross?
No.
Did you list her as one of your witnesses, Mr. Flangus?
I believe she is listed, Your Honor. I couldn't tell you for a fact, but she's already testified. I think that gives me the right to go ahead and cross-examine
Well,
her.
it does, but if she's got some place to go, and if you haven't listed her, then I would perhaps have you go ahead and cross her now. If you have listed her, then you can
If I
certainly...
may just ask if she gave Miss Mobbs a ride here, because I think she's here to take Miss Mobbs back anyway.
Is that true?
She didn't bring me now.
Okay.
'Cause usually, in the past, my
Understand.
experience, she's been the one driving. Let me see your trial.
You just listed her.
We listed in ours, Your Honor, any witnesses listed by them or called by them. So I would like to just reserve the right to keep her.
I guess we'll call Mr. Schooley.
Okay. Sir, you want to step up to the stand?
Please remain standing and raise your right hand. You do solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this action should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
You may be seated.
And state your name
James Fall, Schooley Jr.
and your residence.
It's 420 2T Ranch Lane, Pahrump, Nevada.
You're Amanda's father.
Yes, sir.
There's a period in the last few years where you didn't see Amanda very often, is that correct?
That is correct.
From April '07 until, let's see, from April '07 till December '08, you didn't see Amanda, is that correct?
That is correct.
Isn't it correct in 2005 that you had a DUI, what they call DUI-1, first DUI?
I believe so, yes.
In 2006, you had a second DUI,
That is correct.
and you served 10 days in jail on that?
That is correct.
You understand that a third conviction will give you
Objection irrelevant, Your
a year
Honor.
in jail?
What's the relevance?
I mean, you want a stable place for Amanda to live. I think that's somewhat relevant if you have two in 2 years.
That's argument, Your Honor, not testimony.
That was correct that you had a second DUI in 2006?
Yes, sir.
And do you still drink alcohol?
On occasions?
And do you have a certain role you have when you drink so that you don't drive?
Yes, sir, I do. Basically, if we're having a function at the house, then I can have a few beers there. If we go out, either Sherry is going to drive and she doesn't drink, or I am going to drive and I don't drink.
Do you have a two-drink rule that you go by?
No, sir. Used to go by the 2-beer rule. That's what got me into trouble before.
And you didn't send Amanda any Christmas gifts, Christmas cards during '07 and '08?
No, sir.
You had no knowledge that Jennifer Mobbs, the mother in this case, was in the hospital for 4 months.
No, sir.
You had no knowledge that she passed on in '08 either, did you?
No, sir.
When you used to pick up Amanda, there was a period of time that you had visitation, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And that was a somewhat sporadic visitation because of the issues involved?
Yes, sir.
And it was it meant to be every other weekend?
It was meant to be every other weekend. Yes, sir.
There were sporadic periods where you didn't have visitation for a couple of months?
Not by my choice. No, sir.
But there was a period of time?
Yes, sir.
Isn't it true that you never went to court trying to enforce any rights or to get more time?
Yes, sir. That is true. I couldn't afford to pay for the filings.
And do you know how much the filing fee is?
To get a lawyer and everything else, I was told it was going to be several $1,000s. We had consulted with several lawyers.
Are you aware there's a self-help center to?
Yes, sir.
Objection, Your Honor, that's argumentative.
Sustain.
You attended, the first contact you had with Amanda during her life was her, what birthday was it?
4th birthday.
And then the visitation occurred until approximately what year?
Approximately until, I actually want to think it was early '07, late '06, early '07.
Okay, so it was a period of maybe a year and a half, or?
Well, her 4th birthday would be in '04, or '05 actually. She turns, or no, actually that's '03. She turns 4 the year before the, or
About 2 years, maybe. But the visitation during that 2 years was sporadic, where there'd be.
Objection, that mischaracterizes his testimony.
How would you? Isn't it true that there was a period of 2 months you didn't see your daughter?
yes, sir.
And how would you define the visitation as far as how often you saw her?
It basically depended on her mother, when her mother was willing to let me see her.
Was it her mother? Did her mother contact you to start the visitations?
Yes, sir. She would.
Was it your impression, or did you have the belief that her mother wanted you to have a visitation with Amanda?
Yes, sir.
But there came times where it became difficult. Is that your testimony?
Yes, sir.
You heard Miss Mobbs testify earlier in this courtroom, right?
Yes, sir.
Would it be safe to say that she's had a involvement in Amanda's life?
Yes, sir.
Would it be safe to say that it's beyond what you would say would be the normal grandmother?
Objection, there's no foundation for that.
I'll go ahead and ask a different way.
Thank you.
You became aware that when you became aware that Amanda's mom was in the hospital, it was in '08 that you became aware that she was in the hospital and eventually died. Is that correct?
Objection, there's been no testimony that he was ever aware that she was in the
You
hospital.
already testified to it.
No, he testified that there was no contact for a period of time. You haven't asked him anything about hospital or the mother of the child.
Were you aware that Jennifer Mobbs was hospitalized?
I was not aware that she was either hospital or passed away until I was contacted by the family services when the start of the guardianship. I was not aware that she had even passed away.
Did you ever have an understanding of who was taking care of Amanda during the time that Amanda's mom was in the hospital?
Objection, he's already testified he was unaware that she was even in the hospital.
Well, I'm saying after.
Well, in 2020 hindsight, what does that mean now?
It's just shown that he knows that she was involved in the child's life.
We stipulate she's been involved. I mean, it's
What?
We need to be more specific on which time frames we're asking the questions about.
You're aware that Amanda's grandmother takes care of her every week, correct?
Since Jenna's,
Right now.
yes, here I am.
And in '08 and '09, Amanda's grandmother Beverly is taking care of Amanda every week.
I'm going to object to this on the ground, Your Honor. There's a court order that says she's got her during the week and my client's got her on the weekend.
Are
What's
you
the
lay- are you
relevance
laying
of this
foundation?
testimony?
I am just on
All right,
foundation.
we'll let you lay a foundation then, but I am aware of the visitation schedule.
And basically, what you're asking the court to do is to basically take everything that's happened in the last 2 or 3 years and to change it so that you have custody. Isn't that what you're asking?
Your Honor, that's argumentative. I mean, if he's
It's just
asking,
foundation.
I'm not sure that it's argumentative. I think it goes to the heart of what we're doing here.
You're asking to change the current situation that Amanda is in, correct?
Yes, sir, based on the fact that during the guardianship court, I was awarded custody.
Actually, no. You have that order?
That was what the stipulation was. That was why we have the injunction to stop the special deal that I was supposed to pick her up last August.
That's your understanding of what occurred?
Yes, sir, it is.
That's your understanding, okay. You understand that Amanda's getting good grades in school.
Yes, sir.
You understand that she loves her grandma.
Yes, sir. I don't doubt that.
You understand that she's attached to pets in Las Vegas.
I'm going to object to the relevancy of cats.
Do you understand that has she ever talked about her pets in Las Vegas?
Yes, sir.
And in your opinion, is she attached to them? And the fact that she talks about them constantly?
Yes, sir. I also know that she was very upset that we just got rid of a couple of them that she was very attached to.
Okay. And you understand that she has really good friends in Las Vegas, that she's...
Yes, sir.
And basically, you're asking the court, or you're asking for custody and to change all these things when she's doing very well. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, I am.
Asked and answered, Your Honor.
Just briefly, I want to get back to just a little bit of your background, because would you say that Amanda's in a stable situation with her grandma?
Yes, sir.
Now, I don't want to know this too much, but I think there's a little bit to this. You were discharged from the military, and you did not get what kind of discharge were you given in the military?
I'm going to object, Your Honor, as to the relevancy. And, he was in the military way prior to Amanda's birth. And
Yeah, I need to know. I need some more foundation to see if we're...
When were you in the military? What year?
From 87 to 92.
You left the military.
I'm going to object again, Your Honor, to the relevancy.
In 1999, you had a DUI in 2005. You testified that. In 1999, did you have a reckless driving charge?
In
I'm going to
1999,
object to the relevancy again, Your Honor.
Just for yours?
1999 is well over 10 years ago.
Yeah, I would, just so everybody's aware, I've got to follow the mandates that I have before me, and it deals with, although I'm not opposed to a pattern being established, I'm really more concerned about the living environment of both parties currently rather than what's going on in the past.
You currently live with your girlfriend. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
What's her name?
Sherry Bickham.
And right now you have men on the weekends,
Yes, sir.
every other weekend. Do you both smoke in the house?
Occasionally, yes, sir.
And are you aware whether Amanda's grandmother smokes in her house?
I'm going to object to the relevancy, Your Honor.
If you can answer the question, I'm not sure where it all goes, but
I'm not aware on anything that goes inside her house.
Do you think it's a good environment to have a house where you smoke in the house?
Your Honor, I'm going to object now again to the foundation because he hasn't testified whether he's been smoking around Amanda. He just said he smoked in the house.
Okay. Where do you smoke at in the house?
Usually the kitchen area or the back porch.
And during what time of the day do you smoke?
Usually after dark.
And Amanda's in bed?
Usually.
And does the house smell like smoke?
In my opinion, no, sir.
Does Amanda, what school would Amanda go to if she moved to prom?
She'd go to Hafen Elementary.
And does she have any friends that her age that she's become attached to in prom?
Raven, yes, sir.
And how do you know that she's become close with her?
Because every time we come up for the weekend, she wants to know if she's going to get to spend time with Raven.
Was there a time that a friend accompanied her to prom from Nevada?
Yes, sir. Skylar.
And do you know why Skylar came to Nevada? Or came to prom, excuse me.
If she wanted to come out for the weekend with Amanda.
And if Amanda's involved in 4-H and prom?
Yes, sir.
She's gone one time in the last year now?
Yes, sir.
If Amanda was to move to prom at some point in the future, do you think it would be difficult for her to keep the relationship with Amanda's grandmother?
No, sir.
And how would that work? Would she have to come out and visit, or
No, sir.
how would that work?
I'm going to assume that since she doesn't have a vehicle, I would have to bring Amanda into her.
And do you think, well, let me ask you this. You went at least, if we were to calculate, Amanda's, how old is Amanda right now?
Amanda is 10.
Would it be safe to say that in her 10 years, 7 of those years you never even saw her at all?
No, sir. I don't think you can go quite that far.
Okay.
You might be able to go 5, but I don't think you could go 10.
Okay, well, the first 4 years, there's 4, right?
Yes, sir.
And then we have almost 2 years from April 5 to...
Like I said, I don't think those numbers are accurate, but I've got no proof either way.
Okay. But a substantial amount of her time you weren't involved in her life.
Yes, sir.
And now you want to basically take over and take the relationship that's developed in Las Vegas and just be done with it.
Objection, Your Honor, that mischaracterizes the testimony, number one.
Well, he's asking him if that is correct. I don't know that he's restating testimony. I think he's asking the
And
question.
it's also been asked and answered. He's asked him probably 6 times now whether or not he wants to take Amanda and move to prom with her.
Want me to do it 7 times?
Might as well.
You would admit you have a little bit of an alcohol problem that you're trying to take care of. Is that correct?
No, sir. I don't think I have an alcohol problem.
2 DUIs in 2 years.
I understand it, and again, it is not that I drank to such excess that I was falling down or that I cannot function without alcohol. It is that I was making poor choices when I was drinking.
You've had an opportunity. You understand that Amanda was interviewed by the FMC of the court, right? You understand that Amanda was interviewed by someone with the court.
Yes, sir.
And you're allowed to you understand you're allowed to review what the report is in most cases.
From my understanding, according to my counsel, that no, I was not allowed to see that.
So you have not looked at that.
No, sir, I have not.
You're here proceeding on a case where you want custody, but you haven't seen the results of the interview?
Asked and answered, Your Honor.
Okay. I just want to make sure. That seems strange to me.
Counsel's opinion's irrelevant as well, Your Honor.
Do you have an understand, or has Amanda talked to you about what she wants?
Yes, sir.
And isn't it true that she wants to be with Grandma?
No, sir, that's not what she's indicated to me.
And you haven't seen the report, you've already said, okay. if this court determines that Amanda should stay with Grandma, you would still have a lot of contact with Amanda, correct?
I would assume so, yes, sir.
Is it possible that a better time, if you were to take more of a role, would be at a different time in Amanda's life than right now?
Yeah, objection, Your Honor.
Amanda's in, what grade is she in school?
Are you objection to class?
He withdrew his question, so I withdrew my objection.
All right.
Your Honor.
What grade is Amanda in school right now?
4th grade.
And obviously, there's a break in school at 5th grade. You haven't had a lot of time with Amanda over the last few years. You wouldn't characterize this as a lot of time, would you? I mean, you want more time.
Yes, sir, I do want more time.
You understand that there's a natural break in school at 5th grade to 6th grade.
Depends on where you're at school.
In Pahrump
Yes, I'm prompt, there is.
and in Nevada, in Las Vegas.
I am not under the understanding that all junior highs are 6th, 7th, and 8th.
Do you know what grade that the school that Amanda goes to, what grade it ends at right now?
No, sir.
Have you gone to any interviews, or have you gone to any teacher parent conferences in the last?
I have not been made aware of anything that is going on with Amanda other than
How would you become aware of it, something like that?
I would assume that Grandma would inform me, since she has.
You think you could call the school up and ask?
And again, we will go back to that she informed me that I have been removed from the records there, and they can't give me information. I have no.
That's your understanding.
That is my understanding.
Have you tried to call the school?
Objection, Your Honor. This is now badgering.
Okay, all right.
I think that's a fair question.
Yeah. Have you tried to call the school?
Actually, the school contacted me. The last time that I had contact with the school was when Jennifer Mobbs didn't pick her up from school.
Well, do you think it's important to maybe learn a little bit about how she's doing at school from the teacher?
Like I said, I am under the understanding that I can't have contact.
How do you understand that?
Because Mrs. Mobbs, the first time I met her, told me that she had removed me so that I would not be allowed to pick her up from there. I am not allowed to. If I can't pick her up, we don't have the same last name. I don't have anything on paperwork that I have a visitation or anything else.
That's your understanding. You know there's a case going on right now.
Yes, sir.
And
Your Honor, at this time, it's asked and answered.
He hasn't asked the question yet.
do you understand there's a current case where both parties are seeking custody of Amanda?
Yes, sir.
And you understand you have a limited right, at least right now, some type of right of visitation with Amanda.
Yes, sir.
Why would you think that, because you already said, why would you think that Beverly could keep you from getting information at the school?
Because
Well,
right
it's
now, the
irrelevant.
only-
He's already testified to what his understanding is. I mean, how many more ways are we going to ask the same question?
Okay. Have you've gone to the school that you want to take her in Acton from?
Yes,
And
sir.
Have you met with the principal or teachers?
We met with the administration staff, yes, sir.
And is she going to have to ride a bus to school? Just trying to get a little background.
No, sir.
And you haven't really compared the two schools, I take it, where she's at to where she's going to go.
No, sir.
Your Honor, at this time, I guess that's all.
Okay.
Just a couple follow-up questions, Your Honor, and then I'd like to reserve most of his testimony from my case in chief.
All right.
Sir, what do you presently do for a living?
I'm a CNA, Certified Nurse's Assistant at Evergreen.
How long have you been a certified nurse's assistant?
This is my first year.
What do those duties involve?
I assist the elderly as with their nursing care as well as their rehab care and their day-to-day living.
The counsel asked you a little while ago about your DUIs. You had pretty much back-to-back a year apart, as counsel established with you. Remember your testimony there?
Yes, sir.
And what did you do after the DUIs in the way of any type of treatment, rehab, or the like?
I attended Choice to Change for a year period. Actually, I think it was mandated for half a year, and I went beyond that.
What was Choices of Change about?
Choice to Change was set up to establish, it's not a 12-step program, but it is set up so that you can understand why you're making bad choices, what better controls you can put into place. One of the basic things that they preach heavily is the fact that your ability to make proper choices goes down with the more alcohol you consume. Somebody will go in and say, oh, I can drive, I've only had one beer. And they'll probably say the same thing after 4 beers because they don't feel like they're any different. So it was basically to teach you to put in better things in place and to recognize if you were having a problem and what to do about it. And basically, since we've instilled certain setups with Sherry and I, neither one of us are drinking at the same time. Neither one of us goes out alone to drink. That way there's always one of us to take care of the other one if they start having too much to drink, because, like I said, most of people will sit there and say, oh, no, I'm still fine.
Now, Sherry was identified by counsel earlier as your girlfriend. Is she your girlfriend?
Actually, she's my fiancée.
Presently looking at setting a date for marriage?
That is true.
When is that?
It's October the 23rd of this year.
No further questions right now, Your Honor. Again, I'd like to reserve his testimony for case in chief.
All right. Any follow-up to that?
Yeah, I don't have any follow-up.
All right, sir, you can step down. Mr. Barney?
The only thing that I want to ask at this point is that the confidence report is automatically in evidence, correct?
It is.
Since that's in evidence, I would just let's see. I would ask that the guardianship papers be, which are exhibits 5 and 6, be offered as evidence.
Angus?
If I may see him real quickly. Thank you. Your Honor, they're already pleadings of the court. I don't know.
Are they
when this
pleadings?
is-
They are pleadings, yes.
Then they're already part of the record.
And with that, I would and like I said, that's my case.
All right. Mr. Flingus?
Your Honor, at this time, I'd go ahead and move that you deny their motion and grant our motion for the custody of the child, because right now they haven't met their burden whatsoever in this matter. As court is aware, under NRS 125 subsection 1, it states, before the court makes an order awarding custody to any person other than a parent without the consent of the parents, it shall make a finding that award of custody to parent would be detrimental to the child, and award to the non-parent is required to serve the best interests of the child. Case law goes on to say this statutory provision is known as a parental preference presumption. It must be overcome either by showing that the parent is unfit or other extraordinary circumstances. They haven't met any of these burdens, Your Honor. Clearly, Miss Mobbs loves Amanda. There's no dispute of that. Clearly, they have a bond. There's no dispute there. She was there for her when her mother passed away. The question now is, under the law, who's to get the custody? Mr. Schooley is clearly the child's actual parent. That's undisputed at this juncture. There's been nothing about him being unfit. There was 2 DUIs within a short span. Didn't involve the child at all. He sought treatment through Choices. He talked to the court here about what he went through there and learned from those experiences. He hasn't been a not fall down, stop over himself drunk. He got caught on 2 DUIs, made bad choices. Those were back in 2004 and 2005. Since then, he's become a certified nursing assistant, works in a home where he's taking care of elderly people. He's living in a stable house with his fiance. That's all that's came out. Miss Mobbs herself said she had no objection to Mr. Schooley being part of her life whatsoever, and actually gave the impressions that she's encouraging Mr. Schooley to be in Amanda's life. With that said, Your Honor, they haven't met their burden to show any of those things pursuant to the law. So I would ask at this time you rule in our favor.
Well, you have the confidential report, and you have lots of evidence from you, including the fact that during Amanda's hour of need, when her mom was sick and dying, she has no dad. For 2 years, she has no dad, approximately. During that time, who is the parent? The parent is Beverly. She's the one who gives her the love. She's the one that Amanda goes to for love. When you go through all these elements and all these factors, I guess you'd say, is you could almost say there's a lot of evidence for several of them. Abandonment. Maybe it's not legal abandonment where you lose rights to your child, but when you're gone for 2 years, there's been abandonment. A likelihood of serious physical, emotional harm. Amanda's lost her mom once. She's going to lose her mom the second time if Beverly's taken out of her life. That's her mom to her. An extended and unjustifiable absence. What's justified in being gone for 2 years? Not knowing anything about the teacher she goes to, the school that she goes to. The emotional needs of Amanda to take her away from the house that she lived in with her mom, the pets that were her mom's, her mom, her grandma. Those are all factors. Further, when Mr. Schooley could not be found, the guardianship court did grant temporary guardianship. And the only reason it wasn't permanent guardianship is because we found out that child support was being paid. And in that essence, she was awarded some type of custody early on. And I do believe there's case law indicating that even with the parental with the parental issues, that in certain situations we should look at as a change custody, use that standard. And I can give you the case. I don't have it right now, but I know there's a case. I read it, and but it has to be when there's a custody already established. Now, whether that's happened here is I'm arguing it's really the same thing in a lot of ways. It's really what is actually happening. Amanda's actually living with Grandma for years, for a couple years. And so I think it should be a changed circumstance and look at the best interest of the child issues more than the detrimental aspect that counsel cites. But I do think that even if you look at that, where it talks about extraordinary circumstances, this is not the normal case. I don't believe. Maybe no case is normal, but this is not the everyday case where, mom has died. She has been a mom for 2 years. That's not the typical case between where mom is totally gone. Sometimes mom goes out and in some cases and does things and kind of puts herself out there. Mom died, and Grandma stepped to the plate because Dad wasn't around. There's extraordinary. The fact that Amanda's doing well now and attached to this situation in Las Vegas really puts a risk by moving her to Pahrump. And I just say, look at the factors as the Nevada Supreme Court put out. And I think a lot of them really fit where Amanda should stay where she is in Las Vegas. We're not saying that Mr. Schooley doesn't have some good in him, but we're saying you look at all these factors, and why now? Why at this point? Why can't we see if Amanda wants this? She's getting older. She's almost she's 10, going on 11. She's at some point maybe let her make the decision, but maybe take her advice a little bit now. Maybe you have the confidential report. I would say that that's what she wants. She wants to be here. And we understand that a father has these constitutional rights. But this is what these cases are about. These exceptions are about. And we just ask that you look at the exceptions and those factors as defined, because I think that this is a case that really cries out to stay with Grandma, because Grandma's mom. And at that, I would say that we would ask that Beverly be the primary custodian of this child.
All right. The,
Your Honor, he's citing a standard that doesn't exist.
the reality of where we are currently is not my ultimate decision on the case, but whether the plaintiff has met the burden under 125-500 in establishing that that granting custody to dad would be a detriment to the child. And while I would agree that from the testimony that's been presented so far, I don't believe that burden has been met, the nagging part, at least in my mind as we sit here, is how much weight do I give the child's preference with regard to that situation, and will that rise to the level of detriment? As in what's been presented so far, I don't know that I'm ready to make that ruling. That's the concern that I have at this point in time. So at least for now, midpoint in the case, I'm going to deny your motion and allow you to put on your case.
Okay, Your Honor, I would like to call Miss Mobbs to the stand, please.
Ma'am, come on back up. You're still under oath.
Good afternoon, Miss Mobbs. And as you recall from our previous deposition, my name is Gus Flangus, and I represent Mr. Schooley. Ma'am, you're 66 years old, is that correct?
Yes,
And you live in the house with your husband, is that correct?
yes,
And he's 68 years old, is that correct?
yes,
And it's true, you're both in not neither one of you are in really good health, is that correct?
no, that's not correct.
Okay, I noticed that you had a lot of trouble walking from here to the witness stand, is that correct?
I object to that. I didn't see any problem with that.
That's a perception. She can answer the question.
No, I do not have trouble walking.
Your husband has a bad back, is that correct?
Yes, he has a bad
And that's
back.
from an accident he sustained while working in construction?
Yes,
And he's been somewhat retired for about almost probably between 8 to 10 years, is that correct?
he retired at 62.
About 8 years?
Yeah, 6 years.
And that was because of his back?
No, well, that partly, and because he was 62, he wanted to retire.
Okay, now he also doesn't have a driver's license, is that correct?
No, he doesn't drive anymore.
Okay, but my question is it correct that he doesn't have a driver's license?
No, he does not.
Okay. And he hasn't driven for well over 10 years, is that correct?
I'd say it's closer to 8 years.
Remember in your deposition that you took with me?
Mm-hmm.
Do you?
Yes,
And you remember testifying under oath at that deposition?
yes.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor? Counsel, I'll be looking at page 16. Your Honor, do you have a copy of the deposition? Or?
I don't.
It's in the
Exhibit, Exhibit B. Are you publishing?
Yes, Your Honor, I'll be asking to publish.
Okay.
I'll be starting at line 12, Your Honor, when you're ready.
Well, go ahead and see if
Okay,
we've got a
ma'am, I'm going
conflict.
to show you your deposition, and I'm going to have you read along with me, if that's okay. Can you see?
Yes, where are we at?
I'm going to pick up right here, and it says by Mr. Flangus on line 11.
Mm-hmm.
And it says, question, can Mr. Mobbs drive? Answer, no.
Mm-hmm.
Question, why not? Answer, because he hasn't driven for a number of years now.
Mm-hmm.
Question, when you say a number of years, how many years are you referring to? Answer, probably 10 years now. I did all the driving anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And then question, why has he not been able to drive for the last 10 years? Answer, because of his back. It bothers him too much. Is that what that says?
Yes,
I read that correctly?
yes, sir.
Now, you have a driver's license, is that correct?
Yes, I do.
But you don't own a car, is that correct?
No, I don't.
You haven't owned a car for several years, is that correct?
Yes.
Think about, at the deposition, I think you told me about 2.5 years.
It's been a while.
And when you need a car, you'll go rent one occasionally, is
Yes.
that correct?
Yes.
Now, right now, you're living in Section 8 housing, is that correct?
Yes.
You have, before I get to that, the school that Amanda attends, that's Mendoza Elementary School, is that correct?
Yes.
And to get to school every day, Amanda gets a ride from your friend Vicki McFarland, is that correct?
2 days a week, Tuesday and Wednesday.
And she drives her, comes and picks up Amanda and takes her to school?
No, Bill does.
Her husband?
Yes.
Tuesday and Wednesday. Now, Monday, Thursday, and Friday, who takes Amanda to school?
She's in a carpool.
Okay, but used to, Vicki McFarland took, or her husband would take them all 5 days, is that correct?
No, he doesn't take her all 5 days.
Now, and after school is out, Amanda goes over on with the exception of Tuesdays and I believe Wednesday, goes over to Vicki McFarland's house, is that correct?
She goes to Vicky's on Fridays.
And then Monday and Thursday as well?
Monday and Thursday, she usually walks straight home with one of her girlfriends and comes to our house.
Is that a new development that she's been walking straight home to your house?
Now, she's been doing it for a while.
How long?
Oh, several months.
Okay, so last several months that's been going on, correct?
I think it's about that long.
Prior to that time, though, she would walk over to Vicki McFarland's house, is that correct?
Yes.
And then it would be until well, I don't think it's a Mr. McFarland, but Vicky's husband or significant other would come over, would get off from work and then bring Amanda home, is that correct?
Yes.
Now, if Amanda were to get sick, you would have to call Vicki to get her to as your first choice would be to call Vicki to get her to the doctor?
If it's a regular doctor appointment, I would make plans ahead to get her there, either by cab or a rental car.
Okay, but if she had the flu or something, your first choice would be Vicki?
Probably.
And then if Vicki wasn't available, then you would get a call for a cab?
Yes.
Or possibly get a rental car, is that
Well,
correct?
I
If
don't
you
know
had
if
enough
it's-
advance time?
If it's something right away, I probably would either get Vicki or a cab.
Now, because you don't drive, you don't go to the grocery store very often, is that correct?
I drive. But no, I do not go to the grocery store. Very seldom I go.
You do it on the internet and then have
Yes.
the grocery store deliver, is that correct?
Yes.
And that's because you don't have a car,
Yes.
and it's because you're also a little bit limited in your mobility?
No, I'm not.
Now, your husband is a little bit limited in his mobility, is that correct?
He's just a slow walker because of his back.
And he uses a walker occasionally?
Sometimes, if we are planning on going out and doing a lot of walking, yes, he'll take it.
Now, you mentioned earlier that Amanda's involved in GATE, is that correct?
Yes.
And GATE's offered through the school at Mendoza, is that correct?
Yes.
And GATE involves going to a different type of class during the school day other than the other classes, is that correct?
I believe so.
And GATE stands for Gifted and Talented Education, is that correct?
Yes.
And so she goes to another class that challenges her a little bit more to do a little extra work, is that correct?
Yes.
Now, is it true that Amanda's not involved in any other extracurricular activities like soccer, softball, or dancing, or anything like that?
And the school doesn't offer anything like that.
And outside of school, she's not involved in any of those extracurricular activities either. Is that a correct
Not
statement?
at the moment, no.
As you say, not at the moment. She never has been involved in them. Is that a correct statement?
Yeah, I would say.
Is that a yes, ma'am?
Yes.
Now, you have a son by the name of Rick that lives in California. Is that correct?
Yes, I do.
And you take Amanda to California and visit Rick. Not I wouldn't say frequently, but on occasion. Is that correct?
Yes.
And it's also your intent, if you should get custody from the court, to move to California. Is that correct?
No, it's not.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness? I'd request to publish portion of the deposition.
Have you provided the original to the clerk?
Beg your pardon, Your Honor?
Have you provided the original to the clerk? Publish?
No, but I could get you I can give you my certified copy at the conclusion if we want to trade, but that'd be fine. May I approach the witness, Your
Of
Honor?
course.
Okay, I'm going to begin at the top of page 67, Your Honor, if you want to follow along. Line 1, it says, and ma'am, if you'll read along with me to make sure I'm reading correctly. It says, question, what do you do in California? Answer, oh, we've been to the zoo, we've been to the aquarium, we've taken her to Disneyland and the parks and different things. My son is involved in a lot of different community activities. Question, if you were to get custody, where are you going to remain living? Here in Las Vegas? Answer, I suppose. Question, do you have plans to move to California? Answer, eventually someday. Yes, I'd like to. Question, take Amanda with you? Answer, if I have custody of her, yes. Is that what that says?
Yes, it is. But my plans are not immediate. I just signed a new lease on the house we're in.
I mean, technically, it's not before me.
And would move to strike the answer, Your Honor.
So ordered.
Is it true that you mentioned earlier that Amanda sometimes calls you mom or mama, is that correct?
Yes,
It's also true she calls Mr. Schooley dad, is that correct?
yes.
You were questioned by counsel earlier about Mr. Schooley's presence with Amanda during the time you were prior to you going off to Maine, is that correct?
Yeah.
Remember your testimony in that regard?
Yes,
You weren't there 24/7 at Jennifer's house, is that correct?
I only watched Amanda when Jen worked.
And so that wasn't really every day. Would that be a true statement?
It was 5 days a week.
Are you aware that whether or not Amanda was enrolled in a school called Creative Beginnings?
No, I wasn't.
So from about 2004 till the time you left to go to Maine, you were at the house 5 days a week taking care of Amanda?
When my daughter worked, I was watching Amanda.
Okay, but my question was, were you there 5 days a week?
My daughter at that time was doing flagging at construction sites. She'd left the hotel in spring of '03.
I don't mean to interrupt you, man, but I just wanted an answer to my question. Were you there 5 days a week in 2004 until the time you left to go to Maine?
If my daughter worked 5 days a week, I was there 5 days a week.
Did you ever pick up Amanda at Creative Beginnings?
No, I never did.
So when you weren't there, you have no way of having any type of personal knowledge yourself of whether or not my client called, stopped by, or anything to visit with Amanda. Would that be a true statement?
During the time I was there, I never heard of him, no.
So it's only the time you were there present that you can testify to, correct?
Yes. I can't testify to when I wasn't there.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Fine. Why don't we take a break? Now's about a good time to take a break, and then you can finish up at that point in time. You want to chat with him.